Hi guys, I'm back in my Serpentarium. I got Sapphiron out right now because I just got done recording this video and I didn't like it, so I went ahead and recorded another one. So I wanted to go ahead and make a new guide video for advanced cornsnake husbandry. And today I want to talk about escape-proof enclosures. So this enclosure is escape-proof, and it's a pretty good sized enclosure. Looks like someone wants to go off and climb. No, you get into the rack and I can't get you out. You can't go play on the rack. I can't do that. You love playing on the rack, but I can't let you do that. You get out. You get too tangled up in there. Anyway, so these enclosures are escape proof, and they're wonderful enclosures. This is the 37 quart Sterilite gasket box, and you can actually take the gasket out and it does not jeopardize the security of the enclosure. As you can see here, how I have took the gasket out, because I don't wash the lids every single time, but I do wash the lids eventually, and when I get around to the point where I just want to wash the lid, I'll just take the gasket out. And this is the enclosure for one of my new snakes, for my new hatchling. And the hatchlings are so tiny that I worry that they can get out of those holes, but believe it or not, they're not that tiny that they can slip out of the air holes. But I've took the gasket out of that one so I can go ahead and completely wash the lid. So you can remove the gaskets and it'll be good. So that's escape proof. You put the air holes in, you wash out the enclosure, you get your thermostat, you get your heat mat, and you're good to go. This is now this is an enclosure. The brand is Made by Design, and they sell them at Target. This is their under the bed tote box, and it has 4 latches. 2 on the ends and then 2 on the sides, and it's about 3 square feet, so that is good for your yearling to adult. Once I get to adult sizes, you really I would want to increase the size, increase to the next size, but these make very good step ups. So you can put a hatchling cornsnake in one of these, escape proof, and it'll be good in there for a year. Sapphiron is about a year old, and I just felt like he needed an upgrade, so I've upgraded him to this and give him an extra, about an extra 1.5 feet of enclosure space. So he's doing good. So this did take some modification to make it escape proof. So I added, and this is a really easy modification. I added a bolt using a hot glue to hold it in, and to get that bolt through, I used a soldering iron. So I could go ahead and burn a hole. I had to make the hole a little bit bigger so I can get the screw in, but not too big. And then I hot glued it in. And let me go ahead and show you how that looks when I put the lid on. So let's talk about the lid real quick. This lid has a channel that the side of the enclosure sits in. I believe this channel is a very important part of the enclosure that keeps the side of the enclosure from sliding this way inside the lid, because it's able to slide that way, then all a snake has to do is push it up a little bit and then climb out. So, or just push it out a little bit and then is able to slide out from the side of from the inside of the lid. So I find this to be a very important part of the design. If it doesn't have this channel that the side of the enclosure sits in, then I don't believe that there's any possibility that that tote box can be escape proof. So I just wanted to go ahead and point that out on the lid. So let me show you how the lid fits on the enclosure. So, of course, you want to actually have the lid on before you put your holes through it. Sapphiron jumped into frame and took the whole video out of frame. So as you can see, the bolts poke through, and you just use little wing nuts to hold down the lid. So with the wing nuts, like it's just enough so it has a little bit of resistance, so it doesn't like come loose. But I don't want to tighten it all the way down and break anything. That I can't lift that. That is stuck to the enclosure. That lid is not going anywhere. Let me go ahead and snap these two buckles, and I'll look on this side. I can lift it that much. So adding the wing nut is essentially what makes this enclosure escape proof. It's a little modification. It's about $12 to $15 for these boxes at Target, and the wing nuts were like another $1 for like the 4 wing nuts. So very cheap, easy modification, and so this is cheaper than doing a full size aquarium that you're going to need to replace anyway when your snake gets older. So these are just good alternatives. $12, about $15 after you get the wing nuts and the hot glue. So that's good to go. I want to talk about another type of talk about aquariums and how you get escape-proof aquariums. So the issue with aquariums is on the corners where with some of the lids, there's a gap where the metal is just folded down, and on the corner itself, there's a little gap that's big enough for a cornsnake, even this size, to be able to slip out sometimes. And even if you clip the lid down and everything, the snake could still potentially slip out of those holes. And so I always recommend, when you're using an aquarium, check the corners of your aquarium and check for ports for wires to go through. If the port is too big, then the snake can slip out. Obviously, you want your port big enough that a wire can slip through. As you can see over on this enclosure, I have a wire going through, and that's just barely enough to get the wire through. So that takes care of that little hole. And this is not an escape-proof enclosure. It was pretty good for a long time, but now I have to put weight on it because my little magnets broke down and broke off. I use magnets on the underside and on the top. I could honestly just replace the magnets with the wing nut system. The wing nuts seem to work pretty good for me. The corners seem to be on the weak side, so I use so I definitely do a lot of magnets in the corners. But this is another good enclosure that I think this box was like $25 at Target, and that's a Sterilite, just a large Sterilite box. They're ugly. Downside with tote boxes that they're ugly. They're not very pretty. It's hard to use a heat lamp with them, but you can use a heat. But if you making modifications and learning how to and keeping track of like how hot everything gets, and using thermostats, very important to use thermostats. You can make the your plastic enclosures do things that you wouldn't normally be able to do. So just to keep in mind. So when it comes to aquariums, back to the topic of aquariums, if the lid is in a channel and slides in, and then locks with a pin to keep the lid from sliding around, then that is going to be an escape-proof enclosure. So make sure there's no gaps. If there's any gaps, there's possibility that a snake can slip out. So those are escape-proof enclosures. So I don't have I might have to look. I'm gonna have to pull up an image so you can see the see how a sliding lid looks on an enclosure. But yeah, that's. I just wanted to make this video about 10 minutes, just a quick video on my advanced cornsnake husbandry guide and whatnot. Sapphiron is probably ready to go back into his enclosure because he's been out for like 15 minutes, and he doesn't really need all that much socialization. He's such a good boy. So, anyway, oh yeah, let me show you. Oh yeah, you already saw how the wing nuts go on. So, really simple. If you have any questions, just let me know. And that's how I set up escape-proof enclosures. So, I hope this all helps. All right, have a great one.